I'd like to say to the courts that Shanann, Bella, and Nico are loving, caring people. They love life. They love being around people who love them. They always had good times. This is the first time they went to the beach this year, and they loved it. But God only knows what happened that night. Life will never be the same without Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, and Nico. Had all their lives to live. They were taken by a heartless one. This is the heartless one, the evil monster, who dare you take the lives of my daughters Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them. And they also trusted you. The heartless monster, and then you take them out like trash. You disgust me. They were loving and caring people. You may have taken their bodies from me, but you will never take the love they had from me. They loved us more than you will ever know, because you don't know what love is. Because if you did, you would not have killed them. You monster, thought you would get away with this. I don't know how. The cameras do not lie. You carry them out like trash of the house. Yes, I seen the videotape. You buried my daughter Shanann and Nico in a shallow grave, and then you put Bella and Celeste in huge containers of crude oil. You heartless monster. You have to live with this vision every day of your life, and I hope you see that every time you close your eyes at night. Oh, I forgot. You have no heart or feelings or love. Let me tell you something. I will think of them every day of my life, and I love them every day of my life. Prison is too good for you. This is hard to say, but may God have mercy on your soul. I hope you enjoy your new life. It's nothing like the one you had out here. May the courts have no mercy on you. It's hard every day. It hurts in so many ways. I have heard people say that you're not a monster. No, you are not. You're an evil monster. Thank you. Love you, Shanann, Bella, and Nico. Love you, Pop and Dad. And one other thing. And Shanann says she is super excited for justice today. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Yourself for the record.
My name is Rzucek, Shannon's mother.
Thank you.
I wanted to say thank you for this moment. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has prayed for our beloved family, who had sent gifts, cards to us from all over the world. I know God will put the evil people where they need to be. I also want to take the time to thank the town of Frederick, Greeley, FBI, the DA's office, the CBI, for exceptional work. We thank Nicole Atkinson, Shannon's neighbor Nathan, and his family. To me, they're our heroes. They really are. God bless. God makes no mistakes on who he puts in your life. Marriage is about love, trust, and friendship and unity. We marry for sickness and health, to death do us part. Our daughter Shanann loved you with all of her heart. Your children loved you to the moon and back. Shannon's family was her world. Shanann put a crown on your head. But unfortunately, the day that you took their life, God removed that crown. We loved you like a son. We trusted you. Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you, and they also trusted you. Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. I don't know if you got to see it, but it was Daddy, You're My Hero. I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives. But I know God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise. God gives us free will. So not only did you take the family of four, your family of four, you took your own life. I want the world to know that our daughter and her children were so loved by us. There will always be protected by God and his mighty angels. I didn't want death for you because that's not my right. Your life is between you and God now, and I pray that he has mercy for you. From Shannon's mother, Bella Marie, Celeste Catherine, and Nico Lee's, Nana. Thank you, Your Honor.
7 years have passed, yet the room feels frozen in the same unbearable moment the Rzucek family's world collapsed. The camera lights are low, barely illuminating the edges of their faces, and when they finally begin to speak, it's as if the air itself holds its breath. They sit close together, hands folded, voices trembling not from fear, but from the weight of a truth they've carried alone for far too long. This is not a story they ever wanted to tell. It is a story they hoped they would never have to relive. But silence has become its own kind of prison, and tonight, for the first time, they choose to open the door. Frank stares at the table before him, the lines on his face carved deeper than time alone could explain. Sandra wipes her eyes before words even form. These aren't rehearsed statements or polished pieces of a media narrative. These are the confessions of two parents who lost everything and endured years of rumors, speculation, and doubt, all while knowing there was more to Chris Watts than the world ever understood. They speak slowly, carefully, as though each memory is a sharp edge they must lift with bare hands. They talk about the truth they held back, the truth they protected not because they wanted to, but because grief had made them cautious. For 7 years they watched strangers discuss their daughter as if they knew her. They listened to theories about the man who murdered their family, theories that twisted the truth beyond recognition. Now, they say, it's time to correct the story. And before their truth unfolds any further, the narrator's voice reminds viewers gently to like, share, and subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, because stories like this deserve to be heard exactly as they were lived.
Last summer, on August 13, 2018, my daughter Shanann Watts and her children were murdered. They were killed by Shannon's husband and the children's father, Chris Watts. I can't possibly describe how painful the last 11 months have been for myself, my wife, and my son Frankie Jr. And for everyone else who cares so much about Shanann and her children. Just dealing with this type of tragedy is more than a family should bear. But I am making a statement today because for the past 11 months, piled on top of pain and the grieving of this devastating loss, our family has been subject to, horribly, cruelly abused, outright bullying, and on a daily basis. I don't want to draw more attention to the viral material that has been posted online. And so I don't want to go into specifics. But I will say that our family, including Shanann and her children and our grandchildren, have been ridiculed, demeaned, slandered, mocked in the most vicious ways you can imagine. We have been subject to false accusations, fake Facebook accounts, hate speeches, and constant stream of ugly, evil insults and attacks. Every time we turn around, there is someone trying to capitalize on our tragedy. By spreading false rumors and outright lies about Shanann and our grandchildren, we have been subject to threats on our lives, all because we are victims in painful tragedy. This is so wrong. It is cruel, it is heartless, and it's flat wrong. It breaks my heart to know that we are not the first family to have to live through this kind of tragedy.
Their voices steady slightly as they move backward in time, to the days before everything shattered. The Rzucek family remembers Shanann not as a headline, not as a name trapped in true crime infamy, but as a force of life so bright it filled every room she entered. She was driven, compassionate, relentless in her love for her children. She carried dreams that were bigger than her fears, even when her body fought against her with illness and exhaustion. Her parents remember how she tried, desperately, to hold her family together, even as small fractures formed beneath the surface. They describe visits where she brushed off worries, insisting she and Chris were working through things. They talk about the messages she sent them late at night, the moments she reached out with her voice trembling just enough for a parent to feel something was wrong. Sandra remembers a phone call that lingered in her mind for months, a moment where Shanann paused before speaking, as if she were swallowing down a truth she wasn't ready to release. In those days, Chris still presented himself as the quiet, gentle husband, the man who blended into family gatherings, speaking softly, smiling politely, pretending everything was fine. But Frank remembers watching him from across the room, noticing how his eyes shifted when no one else was looking. There was a distance in him, a kind of emptiness that didn't match the image he worked so hard to project. They didn't know then what that distance meant. They didn't know how far he had already drifted away from them, away from his own family. But looking back, the Rzuceks see those red flags clearly now. And as the narrator brings the moment into sharp focus, viewers are invited, quietly, seamlessly, to comment their thoughts, like the video, and subscribe to The Hidden Verdict as the truth continues to unravel. The Rzuceks remember the night Shanann disappeared with a clarity so sharp it still slices through them. It began with unanswered messages, small, unsettling silences that grew longer with every passing minute. Sandra refreshed her phone again and again, convincing herself there was a simple explanation. Shanann never ignored her. Not when she was pregnant. Not when the girls needed her. Not ever. When a friend finally called them in a panic, saying Shanann had missed a doctor's appointment, the world beneath their feet shifted. Frank felt a coldness rise inside him, the unmistakable intuition only a parent understands. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his keys, got into his truck, and began the long drive toward the Watts home. He remembers every mile, every breath, every sinking fear that told him something terrible waited at the end of that road. By the time he arrived, police were already present, their concern quiet but urgent. Chris stood outside, arms folded, voice strangely calm. He told them he didn't know where Shanann was. He speculated. He theorized. He paced slowly, as if rehearsing lines in his head. Frank watched him closely, watched the way Chris avoided eye contact, watched how his face tightened only when officers turned away. There was no panic in him. No fear. No urgency. Only a hollow steadiness that made every instinct in Frank's body scream. Inside the house, Shanann's purse sat untouched. Her shoes were still there. Her medication. Her belongings. Everything except her. Something was terribly wrong. As the tension rises and the truth inches closer, viewers are gently reminded, through the narrator's steady voice, to subscribe, like, and share this episode of The Hidden Verdict, ensuring the Rzucek family's truth is heard by as many people as possible.
Okay. So, it is completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened, and I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris,
I know.
Chris, stop. It's time. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath. I want you to take a deep breath right now.
There's a reason you feel sick to your stomach. And when people hold stuff inside, it makes you physically ill. And I can just tell on your face, I could tell from the second you walked in that you were wanting to just come clean and just be done with this. And I appreciate that because you knew sitting down in that chair that you weren't going to pass today, and you knew I was going to find out because I told you that. And then you continued to stay knowing that you could, at the end, say, you know what, I just need to get this off my chest. Like, I just need to tell you what happened. We're not here to play games. We're not here to do any of that with you. We just want to know what happened. So can you start from the beginning and tell us what happened?
Everything that I've told you, I did not lie on this polygraph. I don't know how much I could tell you right now. Like, I did not.
It's not even an option right now because you did not pass the polygraph. So I know you were being deceptive. So that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. That's the issue right now.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about that. I know you want to tell us. I can see it in your face. Holding this lie in is going to do nothing for you.
I know this. Like, okay. I'm not like trying to like cover things up. Like,
yeah, but you kind of are because it's normal. Normal people would do that. Normal people that make a mistake initially are going to go, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. That's normal. I would expect that. It's just like if you ask your kid, you know, did you write on the wall? And they go, no. And you're like, you have a marker on your hand. Like, I know you just wrote on the wall. And they're like, oh, okay. That's a natural reaction that someone's going to initially lie about something like that and then eventually tell the truth. So this is your eventually telling the truth time. This is where the rubber meets the road, Chris. Like, don't let this continue any longer, please.
I'm not trying to make anything continue. Like, I want them back home, like.
But you know they're not coming back home. You know that.
I don't know in the back of my head. I hope they come back home.
But you know they're not.
I hope they come back home. Mm-hmm. And I don't know they're not coming back home.
Chris, Timmy and I are confused, okay? And here's what we're confused about. I told you that we've done some work overnight.
Yeah.
I told you that we've got a lot of leads, okay? That wasn't a lie.
I know.
We know a lot more than you think we do, okay? And here's where we're confused. You're this great guy. I'm not just telling you that, okay? I'm telling you that because everyone tells us that, okay? We can't find anyone to say anything bad about you. Chris is a great guy. He's a good father. He's a good man. We're confused as to why you're not taking care of your beautiful children.
I'm not taking care of them right now?
Right now. Where are they?
I don't know where they're at. I do not know where they are at. If I could have my babies back home right now, I would. I want them back. I want everybody back. That is the God's honest truth.
The investigation moved quickly, but not quickly enough for Shanann's parents. Every second felt like an eternity, every unanswered question another blow to a heart already splintering. Detectives combed through the house, their eyes scanning for inconsistencies, anything that didn't fit the story Chris repeated again and again. He claimed Shanann had left. He claimed he didn't know where she went. Yet his voice lacked the kind of fear any husband would have felt. And the Rzuceks saw it for what it was, an act unraveling in real time. The officers noticed it too. Chris's phone logs, his unusual calm, the subtle contradictions in each retelling. There was something hiding beneath his measured tone, something cold and mechanical. And then came the footage, the neighbor's security camera clip that would shatter the illusion completely. As the video played, Chris shifted on his feet, his breathing changed, his hands fidgeted uncontrollably. Frank watched him closely, watched the mask slip inch by inch. Even the neighbor whispered, almost apologetically, that Chris was acting not normal. It was the moment everything tilted. Soon after, detectives pulled Chris in for questioning. The room grew smaller, heavier, as they pressed him, circling closer to the truth. He stumbled through excuses, his voice cracking under the weight of his own lies. And when he finally confessed, when the horrifying details spilled out, the Rzuceks felt a piece of themselves die with every word. The truth they had feared, the truth they prayed would never be real, was now stamped in cold, irreversible fact. And in that moment of devastating clarity, the narrator gently reminds viewers to like, comment, and subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, not for entertainment, but to honor the voices of families like the Rzuceks, families whose truth deserves to be heard.
I want to acknowledge the Rzucek family, as well as the Watts family, that showing mercy on Mr. Watts is understood, and I respect that decision to request that the district attorney not seek the death penalty in this case. And so the court is going to accept this plea bargain under the circumstances. Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime and the viciousness of the crime. And equally aggravating in this court's determination is the despicable act of disposing of the bodies in the manner in which they were done in this case. I've been a judicial officer now for starting my 17th year, and I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen. And nothing less than a maximum sentence would be appropriate, and anything less than the maximum sentence would depreciate the seriousness of this offense. So the court is going to sentence Mr. Watts as follows. With regard to count number 1, murder in the first degree as it relates to Shanann Watts, the court is going to sentence you, sir, to a life sentence in the Colorado Department of Corrections, followed with no possibility of parole. And that is going to run consecutively to all but counts 3 and 4. With regard to count 2, as it relates to murder in the first degree with Bella, the court is going to sentence you to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections with no possibility of parole. With regard to count number 3, the court is going to sentence you as it relates to Celeste to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections with no possibility of parole. With regard to counts 4 and 5 relating to Bella and Celeste as a different theory of first-degree murder, the court is going to sentence you to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections, and legally those sentences must run concurrently as a different theory of first-degree murder. Recognizing the unlawful termination of pregnancy for the unborn child that has been named Nico, the court absolutely believes that the maximum sentence of 48 years would be appropriate to run consecutive to the other charges, with an additional mandatory parole period of 3 years as set forth by statute. With regard to count number 7, as it relates to tampering with a deceased body, as well as counts 8 and 9, each a class 3 felony, the court is going to impose a maximum sentence of 12 years each for those counts to run consecutively to the other counts. The court is going to order that the statutory fees be paid and court costs. The court's going to grant the prosecution 91 days to file a notice of restitution, and that will be the sentence of the court. We will shortly be in recess. I would respectfully ask the parties that you remain in your seat. There is a plan by the deputies on allowing people to exit the courtroom, so please remain seated until you are authorized to leave the courtroom based on the direction of the deputies. Deputies, I would respectfully ask that you take this defendant into custody and have him serve the rest of his life in the Department of Corrections. We are in recess.
7 years have passed, yet the ache inside the Rzucek family has not faded, it has only settled deeper, woven into the rhythm of their days. When they finally chose to speak openly, it wasn't for attention, revenge, or the spotlight. It was because time had shown them how many falsehoods had grown around their daughter's story. Strangers twisted details. Online voices invented motives. And Chris himself, from inside a prison cell, fed confusion with shifting stories and cold, calculated letters that seemed designed to drag Shanann's memory through the mud. Frank and Sandra remember reading those letters, feeling the temperature in the room change with every page. Chris spoke of darkness, of impulses, of twisted justifications. Never remorse. Never accountability. Only a man rewriting history to place himself at the center, painting himself as victim and executioner in the same breath. To the Rzuceks, each letter was another attempt to silence Shanann, even in death. They talk about the nights they spent sitting beside their daughter's gravesite, tracing her name with shaking hands, whispering promises that the world would one day hear the truth. They describe how unbearable it was to watch people blame her, a woman who fought for her family until her final breath. And now, 7 years later, they speak not to reopen wounds, but to close them. They speak to honor Shanann and the girls. To reclaim their story. To ensure the truth is louder than every lie that tried to drown it. As their voice is steady, as their truth settles into the quiet of the room, the narrator invites viewers, gently, respectfully, to share this story, subscribe to The Hidden Verdict, and help protect the legacies of victims whose voices were stolen too soon. In their words, the chapter, and their silence, finally finds its ending.